Hello and welcome to the Guillem Balague podcast. It's time to hear from one of my favorite, I was going to say just player, but more than that, one of my favorite men of all time, actually Xabi Alonso. We shared so many things from his time at Real Sociedad first. He gave me the first English interview ever, and his English was terrible. We'll be talking about all this actually, and when he went to Liverpool, what happened there, and what next, because of course he's going to be a manager. In fact, he tells me that he wants to be a manager of, I forgot, you're going to have to listen to it. Xabi, first of all, have you put weight on or have you lost weight?
No. I'm trying to keep on the same shape.
All right, so what are you doing since you retired?
I'm doing quite a bit of sport. I'm running, playing tennis, some paddle, not football yet.
Okay. Do you remember the first day after you... I don't want to say retirement, but it is retirement because you're 36 and you retired. It just doesn't sound right.
Well, I was 35, in fact. Now I'm 36. But the first days were like the sweet days. Well, now they are even now sweet days. I am enjoying my retirement, my new life. But the first days, I didn't even realize that I stopped what I had been doing for the last 17 years as a professional. It was like the summer break. It was like now I have around 3-4 weeks holidays and I will start a new pre-season, somewhere going to America or going to Asia. So I didn't even realize that it was the end. It was the end. Slowly I got used to it. The summer was quite long. I enjoyed it with family, and it was a decision that I took. I was really conscious. I thought about it quite a long time. I kind of negotiated with myself that it was the right timing. I'm happy the way it happened.
So there wasn't a day where you thought, I should go training today, but I'm not going to?
No. It's been quite, I was quite aware that that time was gone, and I didn't even miss it because I have always had the feeling that it was a nice time, it was a nice career, I enjoyed it, it was a very fulfilling for me, and now most of them are memories and knowledge that I have gained along the years.
So that conversation that you had with yourself was with your mind, because I guess your mind partly was saying, I should continue. Why stop?
Yeah. During that process, there were lots of thoughts, lots of days when I felt better. No, it wasn't just a physical thing. It was like something to feel okay with myself, and because I didn't want it to be in the game just for being there or for being somewhere that I didn't want to belong. So I say I want to finish in a nice way and playing in the highest level as long as possible, and luckily it happened that way.
So did you get that thing that you're in fear of that day of I don't want to go to training?
No, I didn't have that. I was committed. I was enjoying till the last day, and I wanted that way. Enjoy till the last day, not to be something that I wasn't committed or I wasn't feeling right to do it. I did it till the end.
And your body was saying thank you, or was
my what?
Your body are you in pain when you come out of bed and that kind of thing?
Well, I guess at some stage, it's been very demanding for physically. But I haven't had very big injuries, big problems. Physically, I felt that I could continue maybe 2 more years, but it wasn't something about taking more time to recover or not feeling right to keep up the tempo on the pace of the game. It wasn't about that.
A lot of players retire and then they struggle next because they hadn't thought of it, or they were in this running machine that continues going, and then all of a sudden either you or your body decides to switch it off. You had kind of an idea what's coming next?
I have an idea, but it's still early days. I guess that it still is too short to see what's gonna happen with my life, what are my next plans. I don't want to commit at the moment with anything. I need to take some steps back to get some distance from the game. For sure, I like it, I love it. I think that I can have some kind of impact from somewhere else where I've been for the last years. But everything comes in the right time. So at the moment, I have absolutely no rush. I am enjoying my time with my family, with weekends, with proper holidays, and we will see.
Just to finish with that, to a lot of players it feels like a little death at 32, 35, 37. For you it feels like a break, or?
Yeah, that's kind of break. I guess it's.
What are you doing with the microphone?
It's there. It's there.
It's
better not to touch. It's in the right place. No, it's kind of break, and I don't know how long it will last, this break. At the moment I want to have the freedom to choose what I want, not to have to do something to do what I want.
So of course the first thing you do is you buy a motorbike.
Well, one of the things I wanted was to get a moto, and yeah, so far I got my license and everything's. I haven't been able to drive it for many years. Now I am skiing, I am with a moto, new life for me, like a child.
So skiing, you go skiing as well?
Yeah, I'm skiing, yeah.
What else do you get forbidden as a player that
No, not many more things. I'm trying to do most of the things that I used to do, but of course now I have more time, and for me that's the luxury of life, to have time to do the things you wanted. For many years I've been without weekends. I didn't have time to enjoy that time with family. I am watching most of the games of my son, something that I couldn't do, and I go a lot of time to San Sebastian to spend time with family, with friends, to choose what I want. That's what I wanted.
John, is he a good player?
Yeah, he started in just 9, yeah, but they have a good team, yeah, we'll see.
What does he play?
Midfielder, of course.
Of course.
It's a family.
It's right.
It's a family.
Because your father, of course, played for
absolutely
Sociedad and Barcelona.
My brother as well, so it had to be that way.
How is your brother, Mikel?
Yeah, he's fine. He's still playing in Real Union, and 37, but still enjoying it, feeling like still young in spirit.
I tried to convince him to come to Pickleswell United, but he's not answering the phone. So could you pass the message, please? What did you learn now, looking back? What did you learn with age? What was the main thing that you carried with age?
For me, it's been a process. When I've become more mature, to have more composure, and mainly to be able or to try to learn or to read better the games during them. I think that's something that, especially for the position I used to play, for me it's important, and to have the right impact, the right influence with the team, with your teammates, to be able to know what's the best way to play each game, because not all the games are the same in terms of tempo, in terms of system, in terms of tactic, in terms of emotional approach. Each game is different, so I'm trying to be more flexible, I guess that.
You all say that you never stop learning. Okay, so what was the last thing you learned?
I don't know, but for sure I've been in many leagues, many countries, and many great clubs. So my career hasn't been, I admire those one club men. I love them, but my personality, I wanted to be able to experience new things, to be able to adapt to new countries, to challenge myself, to go to new countries, new clubs, and I've been lucky enough to play in top clubs for me, that they had a great history and a great present, for Sociedad, Liverpool, Madrid and Bayern. So I have learned from each country, from each club, and from each league, for sure.
Because learning.
And you know, when I started in Sociedad, I was 18, and my last games in Bayern in 35. You know, for sure, where I was completely different. In essence, I was the same, but in general, it was different.
Because learning is something that you kind of add layers to your knowledge, not just a particular thing, not just one training session. I feel that in England, learning is linked to, can I see, I don't know, Pep Guardiola coach, because then I will learn something. But your learning, your process has been, I'm going to go to another country, I'm going to go to another club, I'm going to absorb to what it is that they do, I'm going to apply it into my makeup, I will just add something of my own. That is how would you define learning?
Yeah, for sure. It's a mix of your own personality. It's a mix of your knowledge. It's a mix of experience, and it's a mix of will to be able to not to take everything for granted, or not to and to accept that other styles, other ideas are good as well. So maybe I like the way one game on football, but there are other styles that I can pick few things from there. So being able to adapt, to progress, I think that's you are richer for your development as a player, or as a trainer, or as a journalist, or whatever involved in the game.
Imagine you walking around and you see a football game and there's that Xabi Alonso from Antiguoco, that kid there, and you've got the opportunity to talk to him. What would you say to him?
Well, you know, for sure my eye goes to the midfielders, for sure, because for me it's more difficult to be able to connect with a striker or with a skillful player, because I was not that type of player. I was not that type of personality. So probably I will connect or to embrace better the culture of the midfielder, for sure. But you need to anticipate the game. You need to have a quick mind, and you need to read and to learn from the game. That's for me the most important. For sure, technically, physically, you need to be ready. But I take those things for granted. When you can make that difference is from, I mean, the room for improvement probably is in the mind more than in the legs.
So you would say to that kid, just keep going, there's still lots to learn, get it wrong.
Yeah, sure. And try it, and be brave, and don't be shy, or don't be scared to make mistakes, because you learn by failure, I think.
You were very brave as a young man, I heard. Some of your friends say.
Well, I don't know. Brave
as
enough.
Brave enough. Brave or just brave enough?
Brave enough.
All right.
Brave enough.
And you had your own competition going on with Mikel Arteta.
Mikel is, as a kid, he was a great competitor, but in football, in tennis, in basketball, because we were from the same neighbor.
You were born in the same street?
We were very close, and from young age we have played not just football. Mikel used to play he was a great tennis player. We used to practice every kind of sport, and very competitive.
Who was better?
It depends. In tennis he was better. Basketball probably I was better. Skateboarding I was better.
At the moment he's...
And football also. We were even.
At the beginning?
He was probably young age. He was better probably.
Were you fighting for the same position, or was he more of a forward? Or?
He was. I was more like a holding midfielder. He was like a more attacking. He was a number 10. I was a number 6. Always.
Who's the bigger leader?
Both.
So big personalities there.
Well, yeah. We wanted to have impact in the game, and we wanted to be important players. Yeah.
You've been in touch since, in recent times, obviously?
Yeah, we have been in touch, and we have seen each other several times, and I think that he's having very interesting steps ahead of his future.
Yeah, he's decided to be a manager quite clearly, and he was told at some point, just before he joined Pep Guardiola, he didn't know if he had to go as number 1 and try it somewhere else and then learn as a number 1, or if he wanted to learn from Pep Guardiola at City, and he decided to go for that option. Given that opportunity, what would you do? being a number one, or?
Well, it depends.
Being assistant?
It depends. At the moment, I am not in that position, but for sure, at the moment, I needed that break. And if you have the opportunity to work with someone that you can learn a lot, why not? But at the moment, I don't see myself as a number one or number two. Not yet decision to be taken.
A coach, yes.
I prefer manager.
Right. So,
but you never close also, of course.
I was going to say, so you.
I prefer to take the calls.
That means you're going to have to go to England because there is no many managers in Spain.
But I mean manager or trainer or first
head of coach.
I know. I mean manager or whatever.
Okay.
Manager in England or trainer in Spain or whatever.
All right. So there's a side of you that's saying, I want to be this kind of coach, and there's another one that says, just you're on holidays. Stop thinking. Is that where you are now?
No, yeah. I mean, watching games and trying to watch them from another perspective, to have a discussion with them. Well, Xabi, what do you think? What's going on in the game? How are they playing? What would you change? But as a professional, not, but as someone that has an idea about the game, but not thinking about I need to do this for the next step. No, not there yet.
So, all right, you are a watcher, football stroke fan stroke player now.
Yeah,
and that's where that's where you are.
I'm there.
Okay, let's go back to your youth, because your English is very good, and that has obviously helped you as soon as you went to Liverpool.
Yeah.
And that was because you were. Did you go to Ireland?
Yeah, I went for a couple of summers to Ireland when I was 14, 15, and that helped me a lot. When I first got in, when I arrived in Liverpool, I was just 22, but I had an okay level of English. Probably not good enough to pick the Scouse accent. But it was a start, and for sure it helped me a lot to be able to communicate with the players, with the fans, and to embrace and to commit to the club in a faster way.
I think I interviewed you in English for the first time. It was your first interview in English when you were at Real Sociedad. I was going to say I was lucky enough to hear you speak English for the first time, but not so lucky because we had to edit a lot out.
Yeah, probably. It was just a basic academy English. It wasn't a proper. You need to be there to learn it. As you know, now I speak a little bit of German as well, but you need to spend more time in Germany to learn proper Dutch.
So then, when Liverpool came about, that possibility, how did it come about, and why Liverpool?
Well, because they were so, they showed very strong interest. I had a great conversation with Rafa, and I thought that it was the right time for me to take one step and to take a big challenge. And it was an early project in Liverpool that year. It was the first year of Rafa, and no one would have expected to have such a successful start, for sure. Not even the most optimistic guy in Liverpool, probably. Mm-hmm. But that accelerated all the progress of being and embracing the culture of the club and feeling a part of Liverpool family. And it's not just a slogan; it's a fact.
You were 22?
I was 22. Yeah.
22. And famously, you lived in the Albert Dock or around
there? I was in the club. I was in the docks.
And that, of course, helped you understand the whole.
Yeah, I was really close to the city, to what was going on with the supporters. So because at that age, I didn't feel I had to be far away from the city. I preferred to be in the heart where things were happening, because I was used to that in San Sebastian, and I wanted to continue that way. Now I am a different man. I have 3 kids. I am 36. I don't know.
What would you live?
Probably I will get a house probably now. But I was in an apartment. Yeah. With the dog and.
Of course. But I don't know if you realized at the time you were the first Spanish player. Oh, let's put it a different way. You were the Spanish player that changed perception of our Spanish players, because what we had before were veterans that were at the end of their careers, or very young players like Cesc Fabregas or Piqué, who just arrived before they actually mature. You were the first top player from La Liga that came over to England.
Yeah, I was a good player from La Liga. I don't know if top player, but I was in the national team. I had played the Euro in Portugal, but still like a project of what was I gonna become. And for me it was a big challenge. I needed to prove myself and to show everyone that I was able. I didn't know that, so it was like, okay, Xabi, let's see what are you made of, and to prove yourself and people that I am able to play at that level. Everything went better than expected. I had a good impact. I improved a lot with Rafa. Rafa taught me a lot of football things because he had a great career and great years in Valencia. So he had a lot of prestige, and you could see that he had that. From the players, we always believed in what Rafa's message, and that was very important because for the profile of players that we had, I think that Rafa, he was a very good manager for us.
What was it that you learned?
Wow. Responsibility, how to play the games, how to prepare each game, to have a plan, not just to play the game, to commit to a plan and to try to play a plan so that you can gain advantage over the opponent. And we knew that on those days, those years, head to head in a two legs game, tie, we could beat anyone, and we beat the best in Europe.
Do you feel that we have to reevaluate a little bit that era, because it's not just the success in the Champions League or the FA Cup, it's just that you, Rafa, that time and that work was done against the tide a little bit. That was not the done thing, the way you wanted to play, the way you wanted to control the games, the way you prepared the games, it was new.
Not for Rafa. I think that he was doing...
Premier League.
In the Premier League, yeah, but for me it wasn't that different. Maybe for the English guys, or for the for Sammy or for Ginjo, for the guys that they were there, it was more different. But for me, I was really happy that we had someone that was making us play that way, believing that way. Probably we lacked a little bit of creativity in terms of to be that good enough to win at least the Premier League or to be closer to challenge. We were close, but we missed that edge to have that chance, and we for sure we all miss that trophy in our cabinets. But in Europe, we felt good enough to beat anyone, and we beat the best Chelsea. We beat Barcelona that just had won the Champions League against Arsenal, Madrid, Arsenal. So those were fantastic years in Champions League for us. Especially the Anfield nights were unforgettable.
I was just going to say,
you have lived most of them, so what can I say?
The big one of that era has to be the semi-finals against Chelsea, would you say?
Yeah, probably the second. The first year, because we were the underdogs. And semi-finals, second leg at Anfield, I was on the stands, and it was 90 minutes shaking. It was electrifying atmosphere, because it was like so unexpected to be that close to play a final, that it was just terrific to be able to feel that emotion, that passion, that intensity in one game. I never lived something else anywhere before.
There was electricity, and you say 90 minutes, but we were there for an hour before the game. The stadium was full an hour before the game.
But since Luis scored the goal, well, everyone was, we can miss this, we have it in our hands, we want to grab it, we won't let it slip from our hands, and you had that feeling, and it was meant to happen.
Can I take you to Istanbul?
Well, we have gone through that way many times.
But let's start at the end though, because
but trying to get some memories, I get that I have some kind of amnesia, and some of them are gone. What happened before the game, or what kind of preparation we had, some things that I can't recall. Actually, honestly,
I'll take you to 2 or 3 things and see if we can get there. The first one, starting at the end. I was lucky enough to be part of that setup a little bit, and then ended up writing a book. And you were so gracious in victory. It was 2 or 3 hours after the game, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you were sitting with your family around. There were chairs in a circle, and you were all having a quiet drink, and I was invited to be part of that. And the first shock was like, I thought you all went mental after winning something like this, and you were just sitting down and talking about the game with a calmness.
Probably the euphoria was in the stadium, and we got crazy. For sure, probably we got that euphoric moment when we got back in Liverpool, probably. When we saw so many people and what it really meant for them. For sure it meant so much for us, but it took us some time to realize how big achievement and what did really happen, the miracle that it really happened. And even now we are here 12 years after, and everyone remembers where they were that night, you know, and wherever I go, everyone talks about Istanbul. So that's why it took us a little bit of time to realize that history was made that night.
Interestingly enough, going backwards, at the moment of winning it, and you go into the changing room, 3 people involved in that team said they got depressed, perhaps is too big a word, but they just went down in energy. And so you had given so much in the game that at that moment in the changing room, sitting down is like, is that it?
Yeah. It has happened to me many times when you have put so much physically, emotionally, the adrenaline, everything is gone, and you are just destroyed, exhausted, empty, and you can't react to the emotions, or you can't react to interact with people. When a big night or big game happens, many times I have that reaction as well, and I need some time to recharge myself, to reconnect.
We're going backwards to see if I can awake some memories. So we're looking at it in a different way. The penalty is one of those sliding doors moments. So if you miss the penalty and then you miss the rebound,
and we missed the final.
Even though Gattuso said that from the moment the penalty was given, he felt that the final was lost. He felt that's it. I mean, the gods are with them. But if you don't put that in, it's a different story.
Yeah, it could have been a different story for sure for myself, for all my teammates, for all the staff, and for the supporters and for the club, because we were not able to sing. We got it 5 times. No, probably the song wouldn't exist. So for sure it was like that at that point that makes the difference between being part of history or not being part of history. And it was my first professional penalty.
Really?
It was my first professional penalty, you know.
So
when I see it, I say, wow.
You took the ball as if you were to 100. It's me.
Well, but when you see the images, you see that my face was, wow, I'm taking big responsibility. You know. I wasn't feeling nervous, but I was, wow, this is a big call, Xabi. Let's try to get it right. And you know, some kind of drama, but at the end, mission was accomplished. And you know, when I had that feeling that something meant for us, it wasn't in the penalty. It was when Jersey made it that save to Shevchenko. I said, wow, this is unbelievable. The gods are with us, and it has to be for us.
Okay, one more thing from that final. Let's go through the halftime. So you are 3-0 down, and Kaká is doing a lot of damage, a lot of space in midfield. Hernán Crespo having fun as well. So you fill the gaps. Rafa and Paco, Rafa and Paco estarán walking into the long tunnel of the Ataturk, start saying two things we need to do. One, we need to fill that gap with somebody else. Haman, go and warm up. And two, we have to raise the troops, say to them, remember, these guys, that comes a long way.
Yeah, it was a mix of emotional side and a mix of tactical side. For sure, for me, it was a master move from Rafa to make that change, to change to 5-3-2-1, 5-3-2, sorry. And there were a mix. Some players that were really down, thinking about, wow, we are gonna miss this great chance. And other players that we need to try. We can't give up so easily. Everyone that came, they deserve at least to for us to show a competitive spirit and team spirit. And at the end, you can make those things, but sometimes they work, and that time it worked in a miraculous way.
So Traore takes his kit off and goes to the shower, and then the physio says, Finan is going to be injured, or Finan is injured, and Finan was crying or was screaming anyway, I'm not injured, I want to keep playing. So Traore has to put his kit back on. Do you remember all that?
No, I can't remember. Yeah, there was a misunderstanding about who's coming on, who's coming off, or we had to say, Rafa, there's one more player, so from the board. And at the end, everything, was in the right place. We had an idea about the changes that we had to make. Didi sat with me in the midfield. Stevie took one position, later another one, but they were so wise moves.
This is 7 minutes in the changing room. As you said, Rafa at first put 10 players on the board, and you pointed out. And I remember knowing that story, and I said, and that's Rafa at the end of our conversations for the book about that. And he said, oh yeah, I put 10 players, but you know what? With the confusion, I actually put 12 players.
No, 12 players.
They had to tell me it was 12 players. So, and then somebody said, didn't we score 3 goals against Olympiacos?
Yeah, probably.
Who said that?
I don't know. Yeah, but we have had that great comeback as well, because actually in halftime against Olympiacos we were out of Champions League. And they were 1-0 up with Rivaldo's goal, and with the last goal from Stevie, that every time I see it, it was my first great night at Anfield. To have the chance to be still running in the Champions League, we had that great feeling, and we said, why not? We are gonna try. We kept believing, even if no one would have thought that we were gonna make it, but it did happen.
So that's Anfield, that's Liverpool. Do you see yourself standing up by the bench with being able to hear all that from the fans as manager of Liverpool? Is that something you dreamt of, you thought of?
Yeah, for sure I have dreamt of. For sure I have to prove myself. I need to prepare, but if I decide somewhere along the way to take my chances as a manager, my link, my commitment, my passion with Liverpool is there, and why not? We will see if we can cross paths in our ways.
As a Liverpool fan, we dream of that. Steven Gerrard next to you. Maybe even convince Jamie Carragher as well.
No, I think that Stevie will go earlier than me for sure. It's the natural way.
Oh, I see. Okay. So he won't be your number 1 or your number 2 or your number.
No. I think that Stevie's doing he's already there, so it's gonna be sooner rather than later, I guess.
You learn a lot from Rafa. At the same time, at the end, the relationship ended up a little bit tense due to a personal situation. You talked about it. Would you tell us what happened?
No, it was not. It was professional. Always we have had a professional relation. We understood very well, because he had very football. His approach of football was very tactical, and I was eager to learn from that. and it was easier for him to explain because we spoke Spanish. So, and he gave me a lot of responsibility, and he gave me a lot of room for decision. Something that I wanted to, I want his trust for me to be able to take the decisions on the pitch. And later I have explained many times. He said to me one summer that he needed money to invest in few players, and maybe I was one of the players that I had to be sold. And I said, okay, Rafa, I am professional and I understand your job is to be a manager and you have to take those calls. But that changed my how I saw myself in the team. I thought that I was one of the main players, but I accepted it. I said, okay, Rafa, I understand the game. And nothing happened that summer. There were few offers, but not good enough for the club. And the next summer, I thought that it was probably the time for me to take another step, to try another challenge. It was the call from Madrid, that it was a massive challenge for me as well. After 5 great years, missing few things, because at that moment we had a great team, but I thought that it was the right time. And as professionals, we finished not 10th in a okay way, no problem.
Mm-hmm. You found that football has to open the doors to the real life sometimes when the birth of your child at the Inter game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it wasn't an easy call for me, because it was Champions League game, quarterfinals, playing in San Siro, and it's difficult to miss those games. Those are the games that you want to play as a professional. But I needed to decide. I want to be part of the birth of my first child, or I want to play the game. Probably I took the right decision, and I don't regret. And I said to Rafa, once he's born and everything's fine, boom, I'm going straight to John Lennon Airport, and I take the flight to. He saw it another way, and that's it.
Was that the first time you had to not choose between life and football, but realize that the
yeah, that was the first big call, because normally I knew what was my job, and my job was first ahead of when I had I have to train, or I have to gain, so I can do the thing. But at that moment, such a big moment, for sure, the person was ahead of the football player.
Mm-hmm. At Real Madrid, you've had some of the best coaches in the world. What did you learn from them?
Well, you learn from the managers. You learn from the club that in this kind of club you need to be at top of your game. Each one is like a funnel, and you have a big responsibility. And if you are not ready for these challenges, you are not ready for these clubs.
So, in the case of Jose Mourinho, he had to face a Barcelona that was the best in the world.
Yeah. He made because for the last few years we had a struggle. Well, it was just 1 year, but Barcelona, they were at their peak. They were playing, the admiration of all the whole world. They were getting so many trophies, and Jose, he made a big impact, and he shook a little bit the basis of the club, and say, you need to try to fight again. Even they are fantastic, we need to try to fight against them and to try to beat them. And it was like a big shock here for the city, for the club. But some things changed, and it took a little bit of time. But I thought that probably the first year we won the cup final against them, but probably we were not in the same level. But the next year that we won La Liga with great records, we were much closer, or even at the same level.
Would you say that all can be personalized, that change, that transformation from the 5-0 of his first Clásico to when you actually won the league? In that moment where Sergio Ramos and you kind of found out how to stop
Well,
Messi?
no, yeah. It was from the football point of view, from the tactical point of view, for us was very important because Messi, if you give him a little bit of room for maneuver, he kills you. And we started controlling him better. I'm not saying him controlling at all. I'm saying controlling better, and that made us have a better control of the games and to be able to play more competitively against them.
And that was when you two decided that instead of Sergio following Messi in that false nine role.
Yeah, because as a false nine, he was very intelligent to take the right positions, and we started changing where was his responsibility and when was my responsibility, and that gave us more control of the zone rather than the player. And I had that feeling, and with Sergio, with Mo, with Marcelo as well, that he was leaning more to because he likes to play more on the right side more than on the left side, even being left-footed. We leveled better the games.
So you, as you said, you even won the league in the last year of Pep Guardiola in charge. But I feel that we've seen a different Jose Mourinho since then, that Real Madrid changed him. Not sure how or why, but it felt almost like he didn't finish his business there and he had to leave a little bit too early. Do you feel the same?
Well, for sure. I guess that we were so close. We lost 3 semi-finals. We all had that feeling at that moment that it was really difficult for us to accept that we were so close to being in a final and winning the Champions League. At that moment, it was crucial for us to win the Champions League. It would have been the 10th time that Real Madrid won the Champions League, and for him not to be able to accomplish that, for sure, I guess that it was. He misses that moment with Real Madrid. We were lucky enough, the ones that we won the next year, and that's football cruelty. You've been there for so close, and the next one comes and wins it.
That's with Carlo Ancelotti, of course, and Zinedine Zidane as his assistant. How different was Carlo? Was Carlo what was needed at the time after the tension of the years before?
It worked, and for sure, and we ended up winning that. We won the cup, won the Champions League that year. It was Carlos' personality, Carlos' football approach. It was different, and we felt well as well. The last year with Jose probably there were quite a little bit of tension, and we couldn't make it. But with Carlo, we were able to win it.
And you represent Real Madrid and the successful era, one of the successful eras of Real Madrid. But you almost signed for Barcelona once?
No. I wasn't close to Barcelona.
But they tried to sign you, or they wanted you?
I don't know. No.
I believe Pep Guardiola wanted you when he was in Barcelona, but maybe I just got the wrong information.
I don't know.
We'll leave it at that. Then you, I remember Spanish Super Cup against Atletico Madrid. Before the Spanish Super Cup, there were rumours that you could leave. Bayern Munich wanted you before, but I was told no chance. After the Super Cup, perhaps because of the whistles, there were some whistles to some of the players that have been there. People were tired of the same faces, whatever it was. The whole situation changed after this Atletico Madrid Super Cup. Is that?
Yeah. One, not because of the games, because we had been chasing the Champions League, and it was such a big target for us. Then that once we got it, it was like, okay, business is done, mission accomplished here. And the call from Bayern came, and there was a stage. I was fine here. I was playing. I had the trust from the club, the manager, the president, good relation with everyone. But it was a moment when I had to decide. I continue here, that I don't have reasons to leave, or is the trying to try something else, to challenge myself, and to learn in a different way. And I'd say, take it, or the train leaves, or you are on, or you are not. You are not taking it. And I decided that even if everything was so quickly, that I wanted to try new things, and I can't regret it.
You lived in the city centre in Munich as well?
No, we were a little bit more on the outskirts, closer to the school.
But you learned German?
Yeah. I tried it. It wasn't as easy as English probably, but 3 years with my teacher.
Is your German as good as your English?
No, not even close. It's okay for the basics, but for the specifics, it's much more complicated than English and German.
You had Pep Guardiola in charge, and that was as an experience completely different to whatever you had before, like completely to the other extreme, or?
Well, not to an extreme, no, but he's very, he's very passionate, he's very analytic, and his brain is always thinking about the game, about his team, about his players. And for me it was, because I was most of the time I was on the other side and from the outside watching. This Barca, they play great, but there has to be a reason. And once to be able to see that from first hand, or to be there what was the process, it was great to me.
To actually do what he's doing, he has to have a complete belief in what he's doing, the energy to implement it, the energy to bring everybody on board, and when there are doubts, just to convince everybody. So it takes a lot of you to actually be able to play that way.
Yeah. But the first one is himself, the one that gives everything. He gives everything for his players, for his ideas, for his staff, and that's the way he lives things. After he has his football ideas, his principles, his basics, that he won't negotiate with them, and he wants everyone to be on board with those ideas. Yeah, and he makes all the efforts to make everyone to be on board for them.
I think it's gone through.
But that's part of his vision and big part of his personality.
And he has to fight perceptions. Wherever he's been, in Germany, in England, first it's like, here now the talk is that this is all about the money, and why don't you change? That was all what he was hearing last season. In Germany it was the same as well. This is not going to work like this.
Well, yeah, because wherever he goes, the expectations are so high that it's not easy to match them. But at the end, he's matching them wherever he's been.
And that football that he's practicing, which is like Transformers, very flexible tactically, and very demanding physically and mentally, and all that pressure high and all those demands. Is that where football is going?
If you have the players, you need to have the players for sure. So I don't think it's copy-paste methods. You need to have the right players. You need to believe it. So it doesn't work for everyone.
So you say you get given Stoke, or he gets given Stoke. Wouldn't he try to do that exactly the same?
I don't know. You have to ask him. But for sure, I think that first of all, for me, are the qualities of the players, or the profiles of the players, or how they feel to play. You can try to change that bit, or you can try to teach, but there are few things that they are very, in a sense, they don't change. So I think that for me the best thing is to try to be able to adapt to what you have with your ideas, for sure.
But you look at City, you look at Spurs, you look at Liverpool, and you see that those movements and that defending from the front. And say you teams, if you wanted to be a modern coach or a coach that it's in line with where football is going, is that how you would like your teams to play? So if you don't wanna look into the future, is that any way? The
I
style
have the
that you
players.
like?
I like to control the games. I am because my game has been there as a midfielder, as a controller of the game. My idea leans towards the control, and after you can have the control defending on your pitch or defending on the opponent's pitch. And to do that, it's so demanding for your players and for yourself to be able, because if you miss one movement, the imbalance that you create for the rest of the game, the team, it's much more dangerous that if that's created on your pitch when you have many more helps. It's very demanding, but when something is so demanding, it's much more rewarding as well.
Mm-hmm. How
I don't know. I have my ideas. I have played different ways. For sure, I like the controlling games.
You believe the evolution of the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
The last few years changed dramatically. How would you qualify that change from where you were there to the Premier League now?
I think that not just the Premier League. I think that football, it's becoming more sophisticated. I would say, much more flexible, much more analytic. But you need to share all those focuses with the passion, with the heart, with the tempo, with the pace. If you are able to combine both things, because if it's not the same if you pass a weak pass or a good pass, that changes all the tempo of all the actions that are coming to create the advantage with the tactical movement that you have to think about. So you need to be able to say you have to play that way, but not in any way. You have to play with that sense and with that, that heart, that passion.
Have you spoken to any of the managers that you've been with? And because some of the managers that are in charge now in Premier League teams have spoken in depth about passion. They don't see the passion of players as they had as players or in previous years. Is that changing, you think?
I don't think so. I think that the passion is there. I think that you need to, for sure, as a manager, for me, it's one of the toughest tasks are the players to be focused and to have priorities in their lives and in the game about what's important and what's not so important. And to be that leader to show them and to convince them, for me, it's probably one of the most difficult tasks of the manager, to be that one that convinces the players to live as a football player and to have the priority of football ahead of everything.
Do you know many 15, 16-year-olds?
Not many, but I know that they are. Societies change, and you need to know that.
Those will be your players.
Yeah.
The 15, 16-year-olds.
We'll see.
And it looks like they live a different world, where the attention span is limited, where they are on the phones, where they have different priorities to us,
sure.
and then you'll have to deal with all that.
Yeah, but I think that if you are able to, for sure, knowing that thing, if you are able to touch the right cells, or I don't know how to say in English,
the right chord.
The right chord, maybe something awakens to say, oh, come on, and you motivate them, and you commit them, and you want them to take responsibility. If you get the player, you have a lot of things in your hands.
Are you ready for them not to know who you are?
No, I am more than ready. For me, it's not a problem.
Because of course you are now, known by everybody. But in 5 or 6 years' time, they live in their present.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen it when I have been with a great player next to me, but 7 years older than me, and the young guys. The young boys, kids, they know me and they don't know him, and I feel kind of kind of, come on, he's better than me. He's been better than me, and I know
Who was that?
it's no, I won't say. It's a process. It's a process.
Your sons, your kids have known who you are for a long while, or did they come to the realization later on?
My oldest, my son John, he's 9, so he has knowledge. My daughters, they don't care. They don't. She's 4, and the other one is 7. They love other things.
As a child, you moved to Barcelona because of your dad.
Yeah.
So you were aware as well who your dad was very earlier on. You went to watch him.
Yeah, sure.
Went to watch him, and he was, of course, international with Spain. Was in the World Cup for Spain, and he played again with Maradona. Has he ever told you many stories about that time?
Well, because my father, he has never been telling us many stories, but for sure, knowing the early days of Maradona in Barcelona, how he came and the way he played and the way he lived, we have heard few things about him, and for sure, football for me, it has come in a very natural way because I have lived it since I was 4 or 5 years. I was able to go to the trainings of Barcelona or to Sabadell, or to go to with Eibar when my father was a coach. So my education has been around football. So after to become a professional, I have lived it in a more normal way.
In the streets, did you play in the streets in Barcelona?
Sure.
You did?
Yeah, in the streets in Barcelona, and mainly in Donosti, in San Sebastian.
And you ever scored a World Cup winning goal in the street?
World Cup, many World Cup. For us, were World Cup finals, most of them.
And did you shout it, "We won the World Cup"?
We were like so. We wanted the game, and we wanted to get all the shirts from the teams and the boots and the balls, and
And did you ever shout, "And Xabi Alonso scored the winning goal in the World Cup"? Well, you have won a World Cup.
Even my brother and I, we had a recorder. It wasn't an iPhone, of course. It was like a recorder, and we used to interview ourselves. As, what do you think about the game? It was when we were just 10, 12 years old.
Have you got those tapes?
No. Luckily, they are. I don't know where they are, but they will be fun.
And that will be after the game in the street.
Yeah. When we got home, and Mom, Xabi, Mikel, come home. Okay, we got. Xabi, what do you think of the game? Mikel, yeah.
Did Mikel interview you?
Yeah.
Or the other way around?
No, both were around.
Brilliant. But anyway, you just happened to have won a World Cup anyway.
Yeah. But I never thought about it. It was so far away that I never even dreamed of being able to win it.
Did you think of that kid when you won it?
Yeah, I think I thought that. Well, I never thought that this was gonna happen, and that we're gonna be so lucky to have this trophy in our hands. That it was so far away that we thought that it was just for Pelé, for Maradona, for those superstars.
To finish off, let's pick 3 moments from that World Cup. The first one, you need the luck as well as the talent to actually manage to go that far. And there was a penalty missed against Paraguay. Obviously, we went through, but it needed Casillas to save one as well. So, how important it is, say for a nation like England, who are trying to find themselves, and they all trying to explain it via, the lack of strength after a strong the calendar, or the lack of quality. But you need that moment of luck, don't you?
I think that to win the World Cup, to win the Euro, or even to win the Champions League, along the way you need a moment of luck. That moment that changes everything. That detail that can determine the future or the path of a team. And I have always lived with Champions League with Liverpool, Champions League with Madrid, the first Euro with Spain with the penalties, the World Cup with those penalties, the save of Iker in the final to Arjen Robben, not the last Euro in 2012 when we played the best game I have ever played in the final against. So there are a few things that in football, luckily, you can control, that they just happen, and they can happen your way or the other way around, and that's the beauty of the game.
Before that, another key moment was that you've always talked about this trip in the coach on the way to the Chile game, in total silence.
Yeah, we were all frightened that moment. We were so scared that we had so much. Everyone had so many expectations with us for that World Cup, and in 90 minutes we could be on a plane taking the flight back to Madrid, or we could stay in South Africa. And we were playing against a very, very difficult opponent as Chile. So that made us even more nervous. And we were all very, very quiet, very thinking about the consequences of that game. After the game, it was a massive relief. And we had the real feeling that the worst had gone and we could win it.
This was the third game of the group stage. We beat Chile 2-1, went to the next round, and then let's jump into the final. There was football is full of pictures, iconic moments and days. The young, the knock to your chest, and I've read when you explain about that situation that you kind of had to reset yourself.
Yeah, at the moment I didn't realize what happened. I said, what the hell happened here? What came in my chest? Because I felt something that I had never felt before. It was so strong, so direct, the impact on my chest, that I couldn't even breathe. But I was on the ground, on the floor, and come on, Xabi, this is the World Cup final. You can't miss this. You need to carry on. You need to carry on. And I kept going, not feeling perfectly, but I kept going.
Did all that stay on the rest of the game? That either pain or confusion or?
No confusion. Pain, yeah. I had to go through pain, but it was worth it.
And then there was the Iron Robin chance, and how Casillas dived one way, but managed to get the foot right to touch the ball at the right point. I was in the media stands. I stood up and started kicking a chair. I don't understand my reaction, but it was like, I cannot even explain it. It was a moment of madness.
Yeah.
How did you feel on the pitch as well?
No, I can't remember, but it was one of those. You need to be a saint, and Iker has that saint moments along his career. And we all remember and we all love him for that moment, because it changed our lives, and it was unbelievable. And each time I see the action, I am still shaking about.
In case it goes in.
In case it goes in. Yeah.
And then, of course, the Iniesta goal, which he describes it as he felt like the whole stadium went silent. And you could even hear the knock of the ball as if that was the only sound at that moment. How did you leave that?
Yeah, I think I lived it very emotionally, but the way he describes it, the ball is going up and he's seeing it fell and come in the right position for him to kick, and the silence, it's very like poetic, that moment for him to describe that way. Because when the action happens, you can see that he's feeling that way, and it meant the world for us. We had the feeling that we were the kings of the world for those moments, because we were living so great things, coming from the Euro, winning the World Cup, and for us it was to feel privileged for all our lives.
Do you think you'll reach that heights again when you win your first game as a manager, perhaps, or you're 100th or a World Cup with as a manager? Will it be the same?
I don't know. No, it will be different. It will be different. The same way it was different to win the first Euro or to win the first Champions League, to win the World Cup. Of course, I rate that trophy as the highest. But each time the feeling is different, because you live it in a different way with different teammates, and the circumstances are different. But that's better, to live it in a different way. As for example, to win the last Euro we won in Kiev, the feeling was completely different to the first Euro we won in Vienna. We were much more mature. We had so much success for the last few years that we won it, but let's say, okay, we have won it. Playing an unbelievable game against Italy 4-0, but it wasn't like, okay, we have one more.
So 2009 was like, wow.
Yeah.
2010 was like, oh my God. And 2010 was
okay.
like, yeah.
Okay, yeah, something like that. No, in the humblest worst possible way, but it didn't happen that way. Even after celebrations, 2009 were crazy. I remember 2012, most of us were with the kids on the pitch, and we were playing with them. We were different persons, different men.
So do tell me if you enjoyed this, but tell me more. What do you think he will be like as a manager of Liverpool? Clearly, he's already dreaming about it. So, as always, subscribe if you liked it, like it if you liked it, and comment and tell me what you think of it and who else you want to hear from, because I'll do my best to please you. That's it for now. I'll be talking to you very soon.